Brain.
Nope, I put us live for that.
Nope.
That was awkward. Yep.
Wow. So Marco sung us in for this episode of Pals Pulls. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for joining. The four of us. Tyler.
Hello. It is me,
Kale.
Tyler.
What's up, hot dog?
Marco.
Yellow.
And me, Sean, are going to be reviewing 4/5 of this week's biggest releases. So
/6.
/6. What's the 6?
We count a comic
'Cause you
tag.
did, it's 7 then. Because you did Powerbomb 1, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I won't, bog the episode down with the long review.
Sure.
I'll
I am
give really
interested,
brief
though.
thoughts.
Yeah.
But we're talking not just do a Powerbomb number 2, as Kale alluded to, but AXC Judgment Day number 1, Marvel's big summer event.
Sean, can I see that cover real quick? Let me
Listen,
take a
I didn't
gander.
buy this because I wanted it.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Midtown.
You got Midtown again.
I needed that Mark Brooks. I needed that
know.
Mark Brooks. I'm bummed.
I'm
Legit.
Midtown again.
A Mark Brooks A cover, which is that? Isn't he usually the variant guy?
Not lately.
I feel like he's main event guy. He was main event guy for all the X-Men events.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
Still is.
It still is, yes. Dark Space's Wildfire. This is, I think, the very first... Is it the very first IDW we're doing?
It can't be. Yeah, I'm sure we've done
It's
have we
probably
done
been
a
a
Teenage
tag
Mutant Ninja Turtle?
before.
No, I don't think we
No,
have.
I've done a Turtles.
No?
A Transformer.
No, definitely
Please.
not.
Sean
I don't
hates
know.
robots.
I love robots.
What about
Whoa.
robots that don't let you know they're robots because they're in disguise?
Robots in the sky.
Nice.
Dude, I think the Transformers are cool as hell. That
Pirate
first
Transformer?
Michael Bay movie was phenomenal.
Well,
Maybe you don't actually like Transformers then.
No, I used to love Beast Wars. I used to watch it every day.
yeah, you're about to get gate kept.
Beast Wars is not cool. I
I
I
love Beast Wars.
yeah.
Rat
Oh,
Trap
okay.
was
yeah,
my man.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, you guys were no selling me crazy right there. Wow. Speaking of no selling, we're going to be talking about Do a Powerbomb number 2. Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings number 1. And I'll be talking, I don't know if anybody else read it, but I'll be talking about Blink number 1. And this has to be the first Oni Press book we're doing here, right? Has to.
Possibly last
Damn.
if trajectory is going that way. But
Maybe. Before we get to that, though, I do want to let you guys know where you can find us all over the place and let you know about a celebration that is coming up. Because if you're listening to this on release or you're watching us live, Saturday, this next Saturday, is our 300th episode. So the main show will be celebrating its 300th episode live on Twitch. Twitch.tv/thecomicspals at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, and we would love for you guys to join us. We're going to be playing a live version of Journey into History. We're going to be receiving your messages, video messages, audio messages, written messages in celebration with us for our 300th. So we'd love for you guys to come hang out. And if you want to celebrate, but you're coming in after, right? There's a great way you can do that. You can celebrate by giving us the gift of a subscription on patreon.com/thecomicspals for as little as $3 a month. You can be a patron of ours, help us out, get some pretty cool content like our newsletter. If you want to shout out on the main show, you can get that too through us on Patreon. You can also subscribe on YouTube if you haven't. Like the video, share it with your friends. All that's free to do and helps us out a lot more than it costs you. Join our Discord server where we're always having a great time. If I'm not getting razzed for not liking manga, then I'm getting yelled at for not knowing who Wildcat is. So it's a great time.
Those are
Soon
the
enough.
names.
Yeah. Let's get into the reviews though. We'll start with AXE Judgment Day number 1. Go
right
ahead.
off the bat, why do we have to call it AXE Judgment Day? I know that's the title. I know you're just saying the title. but like I don't know. It just smells like body spray. Like I just can't get that out of my head.
Dude, I want to call it Marvel's AXE Judgment Day. That's what I want to do because it's so annoying. It's so annoying that it has such a long name that I just want to make it longer.
And like it says, Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day.
I should
AXE
call
is
it
at the
that.
bottom.
Yep.
Like, you should call it Marvel's AXE Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day.
And then just put the whole creative team in there too.
Yeah,
And
just
then
put it in there.
and then just say the UPC number on the barcode. On the cover.
Speaking of the creative team, we have Kieran Gillen, given main event status, writing Marvel's major event of the year. Valerio Schiti, not new to that position. He worked on the correct me if I'm wrong. He worked on what was that space event Marvel had with the Fantastic Four last year?
Al Ewing did it.
Oh, Al Ewing,
Empire?
but on art, I'm referring
Empire,
to.
yeah,
Valerio Schiti.
Empire.
Yeah. It was Empire. Yep.
Who was the artist? I think it was more
believe
than
it was-
one.
I believe it was Sheedy was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mark DeGracia, also no stranger to the main event, of course. And Clayton Cowles goes to every event. So
It's true.
for me, the first page of this book was the most important page. If I opened the first page of this comic book, it was like a groundhog. If I open the first page of this book and I see a blue text box that says, "Hello, I am the world," I immediately need to close the comic book. But if I don't, then I'm probably going to really enjoy the comic book. And I don't know who the fuck was talking in the not blue, but pinkish text box.
The red ones, yeah.
But it wasn't the world. It wasn't Earth. And so I really enjoyed this comic. Simple man.
It doesn't pop up again though. Like we don't actually find out who it is that's talking, right?
Not yet.
No. But I don't think it was Earth, and for that I am grateful.
For me, it sounded like, does my spoiler alert thing work still? Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, good. Spoiler, I think it's whatever god they make. Whatever celestial that they've made.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
that's
Talking
a great
in
call.
the past. That's what it sounds like.
Great call. Yeah.
I enjoyed this. So for, I guess, transparency's sake, I read the prequel issue, the one you read last week, Hellfire Gala, and this in one shot, like all together. It's daunting.
Why?
Because I wanted to know. I didn't want to feel lost.
Trust me, you
and
would be fine.
I don't think I would have been, honestly. In fact, I think the Hellfire Gala had more to do with some of the stuff in here. With like actually, no, it's just Moira showing up to Druig.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think there is a skill here that Gillen is somehow weaving in major plot points for X-Men and Eternals, which he writes both of them, so that makes sense. But even some of the stuff that Aaron's been doing in Avengers, like with the Phoenix and that previous Avengers Eternals crossover that we had, like in November or something like that. There's a sorry, man. The chat says Tyler Rock in the MCU Ned cosplay. Hey, I'm the man in the chair.
Since we went to the chat, can I also, first of all, say hello to everybody who's watching right now? CW Gordon, what's up? Catherine, hey, how you doing? Thank you guys for watching. Matt, you're making fun of me saying his name, Skeety, right? But in the back of the Shang-Chi book this week, there's an interview with him. Well, it's a list of where he's born, facts about him. And in the facts about him, it says how you pronounce his name, and it's literally Skii-Tee. So it's Skeety. So sit the fuck down. Thank you.
I don't think he was making fun of your pronunciation. I think he just likes the word skeet, and it's funny.
Yeah.
That tracks.
You got to go one step lower than where you went, Sean.
My man just wanted the excuse to type skeet.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah,
So-
see, there we go. He just wrote skeet skeet in the chat. So
All right.
Oh, it's
so,
also his birthday. You can't razz him too
oh my
hard.
God, that's right, Matt. Happy
Yes, we can.
birthday, dude.
yes, you can. It's
Of
one
course
step
we
closer to
can.
death.
Yeah,
you
fair
turn
enough.
it
That's
up
our
at that point.
relationship with Matt at this point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Everybody say happy birthday to Matt.
And
Tyler,
give him a hard time about it.
do you want to sing?
Hell no, no. I saw him yesterday.
Oh, all right.
I got him a nice big buoy anime girl action figure to make his life even worse than it is. But he refused to have me take it out of the bag in public.
Coward.
Yep. So what I gave him for his birthday was shame.
That's what he gets. every
I
year,
don't
frankly.
feel like he has that.
Yeah, he's a
Oh,
weeb.
you'd be
He's a-
surprised.
All right. Well, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this.
There's a lot going on here. Yeah.
So, first of all, the art was immediately like, okay, nice. This feels event level. I had forgotten who was doing the art for this book, but I was happy to see someone who, we know is capable of delivering here. And I was pleased to see how he was drawing Cersei. Cersei looked great. Even Echo as the Phoenix, that was an awesome page. The coloring, just it's so good to see Marta Gracia on colors. It's beautiful always.
Have we seen him with Skeety before?
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
say so. Yes.
It felt a little different here, like in a good different.
Yeah, I mean, Skeety is he's like a Pepe Larraz student in a way. Like his art style echoes Larraz a lot for me. And so Gracia is a great pairing for him because he's a great pairing for Larraz.
Yeah.
So they go really well together. And some of these pages are just beautifully colored. Like I'm holding up a page right now. There's nothing too standout about it. It's just a conversation between Iron Man and Cersei. But if you look at how it's colored, like look at the blues on Iron Man and Cersei there and how nice they are and how they pop. Like all the colors just pop so beautifully. And they add like a shine, like you could there's a light source that you can reference. Like it looks like there's light on them. It's just so beautiful. Like look at this one, this close on Iron Man there. I don't know if you can see it too well, but that's just such a nice panel. It's a really pretty book.
I think from the pivoting a little bit, but on the story front, I think compared to the first issue that we read, this was paced a lot better. Because I remember feeling that I didn't feel like I got a lot of exposition about the story. I felt like I didn't get actual information, and then this actually gives you like, okay, this is the plan. This is why the Avengers are jumping in between the Eternals and the X-Men. There's an actual reason versus what I feel like the consensus was last week, where we just had to guess as to why things were happening and kind of use context clues around it. This was very plainly stated, and it was done so in an engaging way. So I think Gillen does a really good job just telling us what we need to care about and what we need to focus about, and then showing us through the art like the repercussions of the individual battles and like where different sides are in terms of information, because this new era of the X-Men has been about who has different pieces of information related to the X-Men, their ability to live longer than they can, and the ability to clone.
Yeah, I guess the reason for this happening, it still feels really weak to me. And it's probably the only major criticism I have of this book is that Druig is doing this because he just wants something to hang his hat on. He wants a legacy and, whatever. And that's fine, I guess. But for a motivation for a comic of this magnitude to just be that doesn't feel like it's not really that interesting. And I guess this is a war between the Eternals and the Avengers and X-Men, but it's not a war between the Eternals we care about and the Avengers and X-Men.
That's a good
which makes it feel hollow a little bit.
point.
I
They
would-
even say it in the book, like, oh, these aren't the actual like antagonists. These aren't the Eternals that are antagonists, and those are the ones that we've been following in the actual book with Ribbich and Gillen. So we're getting these offshoots who are they're participants in the story. But to your point, like I'm here to bat for the individual characters that we've already been hanging out with, not these guys that are just kind of coming in and have an issue with the way that things are currently set up.
I understood Druig's reasoning for this, not because he wants to do it, just because he needs to like push legislation now that he's in office, you know, not that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
because the realization that mutants are deviant was something he learned, and then his wiring was like, oh well, it's a deviant, I have to destroy them, and like that's the whole thing with all the Eternals. So like even the Eternals that don't want to do it, it's still their designation. So they're probably going to get roped in anyway.
But
But
Like they can't fight
Go ahead.
their prime directive, I
Programming.
guess. Yeah.
But it felt like since he had to make a case, it felt as if he was the one kind of like fanning the flame for that. Like he was the one finding the issue. He was looking for the problem, and he's like, hey, shouldn't we all feel this way? And the board is like, yeah, all thumbs up. You're right. We should be thinking about it this way, because I don't know that they have had that issue previously. And in the book, I know while in Eternals, while they find out that like the mutants are born of the deviants, like through whatever genetic making, they're technically a little bit closer to humans. So like they've never had the issue until Druig's like, actually, let's implement this now.
But then Druid tried to drop a bomb on them in
work
last
out.
week's comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like before he even spoke to anybody or whatever, like he just did this, just try to do it. I feel like his motivation is less interesting because he's just bad. Like because he's a bad guy, it makes it feel lame. If it was Icarus leading this, movement, and he didn't want to do it, he regretted it, he hated himself for it, but this is what he has to do, and they all felt that way, that would be more interesting than Druig, who's already bad, saying, yeah, let's do it bad.
Or even the last guy that was king of the Eternals or whatever, who was, sort of
Thanos?
the well, okay, the guy before him,
Okay.
who was like, good king eternal or whatever, good righteous ruler or whatever.
He's on the cover too, which is interesting.
On this cover?
On the Mark Brooks cover. He's above
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, like someone who has like an amount of pathos and isn't just, oh well, I'm crafty and sneaky.
I don't know, like I feel like if it were like the reluctant heroes doing something they didn't want to do, like then that's just, I don't know. I was gonna say that's just every event, that's it's Inhumans versus X-Men, it's Avengers versus X-Men. It's the same thing. Making this more of a classic like villain character gets rid of that like boring we have to fight each other and then band together sort of thing. You can skip that phase of the plot and just go right to band together and figure out the solution. I don't know,
Because it would like remove that agency from them.
I don't think it's that. I just think like every blank versus blank book is there's a misunderstanding, we fight, oh whoops, we fucked something up, we have to now fix it together. And this, without it being like, oh, it's Icarus leading the Avengers or leading the Eternals versus the X-Men. Instead, it's just like, no, there's a really fucked up Eternal who's gathering all the other like 101 D-list Eternals we don't know about. And they are the villains. It's a little more simpler and I think it works because there's a lot going on here. And I think making that part simple allows this to be a coherent story, if that makes sense.
C.W. Gordon said, "An event without heroes versus heroes? Not very Marvel
I know,
of you."
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you think there's not going to be heroes versus heroes in this event, you're bugging.
No,
Like,
yeah, I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I don't
Has
think it
to.
needs to be the driving force for it.
It's the reason we're here. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's what why would they even put them on the, like, that's what it is, you know? I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I just feel like, you know, I care about Druig probably less than every other Eternals character. So hopefully there's a little bit more, you know, investment from that angle.
So I don't hear voices in my head for characters. Do you hear an Irish Druig in your head from the Eternals movie?
No.
Kel hasn't seen it. It's weird. I hear him as Irish in my head.
Yeah, I can't hear characters like that. I don't care enough. There's a lot of talky stuff in this book, which is fine. But then maybe about halfway through, you know, there's just a tremendous amount of action, which is all really great. The Avengers, or rather the X-Men, get decimated by the Eternals. Pretty swiftly. Felt almost too easy.
Well, I was going to say so swiftly, I'm not even 100% sure what happened.
Most of Iraqi is destroyed, it looks like, including Magneto, who
that's
even
what
admitted,
happened.
Yeah, Magneto admitted he would not be resurrecting again in X-Men Red at one point. So maybe that is a wrinkle there. Yeah, what happens to the X-Men Red book? It's like, did Uranus also destroy that publishing line as well?
It's still coming out.
Yeah.
I know, but like it just seems like a weird, like this is like,
like shit gets fucked up and
yeah,
you need to
and like
have
not
it
your
with,
book, you know.
Like your whole book is on Mars and Mars doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The action sequences were, I think, really well done. There's a lot of dynamic kind of just images. The big brain that descends on top of the tree, and then they're they're like fighting. All the psychics are fighting, and I like how they call out magnificent if you have the eyes to see it, right? Because there's like it always made me imagine there's like just a group of mutants kind of focusing their heads and they're just standing there, but like outside of that there's just this huge explosions and clash of shit that's going on that I thought was really, really cool as a concept. And Uranus going to Mars to fuck shit up, I'm there. That was wild, especially the one page where he's just counting down the last 10 seconds and it gives you the big bottom panel where all of it's flattened. I thought that was very well done and very well drawn and colored.
Yeah, and you could really feel the sense of scale of this assault, in the sense that it's taking place on multiple fronts, and you're seeing characters that you care about straight up die. Mm-hmm. Like Cable dies, comes back, and all he can think to do is just yell, "What happened?" Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, they don't even know what just happened. You know, the X-Men got.
Yep.
On 2 planets.
Cable's been jobbing out the past year.
Yeah, Cable's a jobber. Yeah.
Yo, he's died like 6 times this past year.
And I get it, right? Like, mutant deaths don't necessarily mean as much anymore. But if you care about the character, you know that dying sucks no matter how many times you can come back from it. Like, it sucks. And it still, I don't know, it still gets me when they die.
Man, all this happened so fast, I didn't even register that they died until they were coming out of the egg. I genuinely was like, what the fuck is going on? Because for one second, I'm trying to figure out who the hell Moira's talking to. Didn't recognize that guy. And then all of a sudden, there's the psychic warfare that Marco's talking about. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. And then everything else happens, and now they're crawling out of eggs. Who's Hope's dad? I thought it was Cyclops. Where's Cyclops? I don't know. I miss all of this.
To be fair, a lot of it happens off panel, like Cable dying, all of Mars imploding. So, and that's Druig that she's talking to, right? Just like
Yes.
Yeah. It's
okay,
revealed later. Yeah,
But
it
in a
just
business suit.
it all happened so fast, and like you said, off panel, and like there was so much dialogue. I get that it happened fast, but like I could have used like a second to figure out what the hell was going on.
So
I
Boober
actually
Page.
kind of like your confusion because you feel like what the characters feel like.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Kale, you do know that Cyclops is not Hope's dad, right?
No, I had no idea. I thought that was.
Her,
Hope's dad is just like some white dude.
her
Like,
parents are anonymous people. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She's got red hair. I thought she was a Jean and Cyclops kid.
Trust and believe that when they revealed her at the beginning, that's what every single person thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uranos is a badass.
he's cool, man.
Yeah.
That I don't even know what he did, you know, but it was crazy.
He's a good devil.
What if we just find out he just like rips ass and like that's how he kills people? Like we don't know his power set right now. Like it could be something wild like that. But he's just
like
another
it.
Dark Side Thanos clone. But like those
Yeah.
things are fucking cool. Like it's a trope, and I kind of
Well,
like
and
it.
it's
Grandpa.
it's cool to see like that taken to the next level and then acted on.
Yeah, true. Yep.
I have something I want to call right now, and very well may be wrong, but I'm just going to throw it out there just to get it out. I feel like Apocalypse will come back during
Oh,
this event.
What was the reason?
Interesting.
What was the reason he didn't? They
He's
did
kind
just
of
want
locked
to bring
away.
him back, right?
He's locked away in that other dimension, right?
He went, didn't he go back to try to like lead those people?
Yeah.
Yeah, he-
Other Iraqi.
Yeah.
He
The
died in,
Iraqi
like-
that are still there.
He died
Yeah.
in. Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. You think?
Somebody's got to fight
Man,
Uranus. Yeah.
that's-
Fair. That'd be kind. Oh, you know what? That'd be kind of hot. That'd
You
be
don't
cool.
think it's just gonna be the giant freaking celestial
against Uranus.
instead? Yeah.
It's got to be someone we care about.
Yeah. And they need a reason for him to come back.
Yeah,
He's-
what's the
he's
hold
been
up?
He's been off the table for a while.
Yeah.
He's gonna come back. He's like, "What the fuck happened?" I leave for like a few months, and
Finally
all
brought
this
the
shit
milk
goes.
home.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this was my pick of the week. I think, but do a power bomb
That was
might
mine, yeah.
be my pick of the week. I'm waffling right now, so I'll hold that. But definitely pull. You know, this is what's going on at Marvel right now, and the other factor is that it's actually good. A lot of times these events not so hot. This one's starting on a good foot, better than Dark Crisis at least.
Yeah.
So I feel this creative team is very, very competent. It's a great team. They can deliver. This is an event that I'm excited to continue to read.
It is kind of wild that Gillen has not done an event yet.
Is he not?
Right?
At least not a large scale one.
No. He's done little maybe crossovers. I don't think he's done big event book yet.
Huh.
Fear itself was Fraction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no. I'd pull it.
Bullet.
I want to say pass.
Oh shit.
Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it didn't do a ton for me.
All right. Fair enough.
Kale passing Judgment on Judgment Day.
Well, I'm interested in hearing Kale's judgment on Dark Spaces Wildfire #1 from IDW.
It's the first IDW original that's out. Is that right? Like that whole initiative that we talked about on the main show?
That
I
new
want to
initiative.
say
Yeah.
that that's the
So,
case.
It makes
Yeah.
sense to start with a Snyder book, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, Scott Snyder wrote this with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Rhonda Pattison, letters by Ann World Design. This is a book about firefighters, but not just firefighters. We're talking about women who are incarcerated, whose sentences vary from, I'm getting out soon to I'm not getting out ever, or at least not for a really long time. And one of the ways that they're able to, I guess, just, be useful in life is this firefighter thing they get to do. Where they get to be reserves for major fires in California. And that's the basic premise. And it's kind of showing us, what it's like for them. A lot of buildup. Is a very talky. I mean, if you've ever read a Scott Snyder #1, like that's what it is. This is quintessential. They are very talky. And they want to do a robbery. And that's kind of the hook of it. This could have easily just been a story about a few women who are incarcerated people that are firefighters, and that would have been interesting. But all right, whatever. But then when you throw in, let's do a robbery, now it's got the reason why this is being published.
That's your image hook,
right? So, what did you guys make of this?
This was my book of the week.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
I enjoyed this. Yeah.
Shocked.
I enjoyed it too. I think it really, my enjoyment from it is really from the Hayden Sherman art, but even more so the coloring. This is a wildly colored book.
Yeah.
It's got
it feels like an old style.
Yeah.
It feels like with the way the purples and the blues work together, and then the washes on each character. When we're introduced to the other the firefighter women, they're sort of washed in yellow and purples and blues.
yeah,
it feels like an old coloring style.
It's like early Strange almost, like Doctor Strange is what I'm thinking of, like psychedelic Ditko almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, even 90s Vertigo.
But like specifically the coloring is used to kind of tell you who's who, which is really nice to see. Yeah, it's helpful because they're all wearing the same uniform. There are little bits like, oh, this one has their goggles up, this one has a handkerchief around their neck. There are little identifiers here and there, but it's the coloring that really does, and I thought that was really well done. This issue kind of really sticks with explaining who everyone is and then giving us the hook. Fine first issue, but really what jumped out to me was the art.
Yep, same. I think he has like a style between kind of like an Ian Bertram and a Simon Gain with like the cartooniness, but there's like still this like a lot of detail to it, which I really appreciated. Like the dots, the way that he uses just like lines for different shadowing to like look at different people's faces when someone has a hat on instead of it just being like a black or like some kind of fade. There's just the volume and density of these streaks allow you to provide that depth. And I had fun with the story. Yeah, like to what you said, Sean, it would have been enough for this to just be that firefighter story. But now that they have a heist to go after, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm invested now because I care about the future for these characters. I want to know if it's successful, they could probably change their lives. It probably won't, because like the reality of it likely be tragic, but that potential there, it hooked me as a premise, and the art just sold me on the book.
Yeah, I thought this was really good. Again, like I know what to expect from a Scott Snyder #1. There's going to be a lot of talking. There's going to be some kind of a mythology. Like, dude he took firefighting and made like a whole mythology out of it. It's like, bro, we all get it. We know what it is. But that's his way. and he adds touches that connect you to the characters immediately, like the smoking and some of the visual cues with them, like the things that they wear. All that stuff is great. The art is great. I don't need to talk about it. You guys really nailed it down. How good the Sherman art is. And the hook, the way the issue ends, where it tells it. Well, I don't even want to say it. I think people should go buy this. The way it ends, I really hope that that's not actually true.
Yeah.
Like I want there to be some kind of a twist on that, because otherwise I would have preferred not to know that.
You would rather have seen that play out.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions, actually. Is this a somewhat of an anthology? It's Dark Spaces, Wildfire. Is this going to be a whole bunch of Dark Spaces stuff that Scott Snyder does in smaller chunks? They almost have different logos, too, on the cover. And also, is there a super... I don't know if I'm just conditioned to this because of Image Comics and how it's always, one genre smashed with another genre. But is there a tinge of supernatural that's coming?
I didn't read that.
I didn't read that.
I'm probably reading into it in a way I shouldn't. But I think I'm just conditioned to think like, oh, it can't be a straightforward heist book. How dare they?
What was the thing, like the indicator that made you feel like that?
Just tone. Like that's all it was. I don't think there's anything in the text. They did it for me.
Matt said it's got big Marvel remembers 9/11 vibes.
The cover.
I never read
yeah.
that. Oh, the cover. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I never read
If you just split that red line in the middle, yeah, that's.
I gotta read that one day.
Dr. Doom literally cries in that book.
Yeah.
I've seen that panel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I one day we got to talk about that on the main
You want to
show.
do a book club on 9/11? That's a comics tag right there.
We could read the 9/11 comic.
There are several.
All right.
I'm good.
It's in the Straczynski's Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2.
Your wheelhouse.
Sam Taps, what is up, Sam? How's it going, dude? We had a crazy night last night.
Who you tapping? Sean,
That
sounds
ass.
like, dang.
Yeah, pull this. This was excellent. This was really, really great. I think if you're gonna give a chance to a book, because Scott Snyder's name is on it, but I don't think that a book about firefighting from IDW by Scott Snyder is like an instant hit. So I think this would be a good one to pick up if you're curious.
Yeah, for sure.
Good
Support
sign for the start of this line too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Especially if you want to see more of this kind of stuff from a publisher like IDW, which I think has been doing real good stuff. Go for it.
Yeah.
And the note from Mark Doyle at the end of this book also says a lot about what's coming. I think the pedigree of talent and the way that they believe in them. So I don't know. Yeah.
Mark Doyle's a reliable source too. So
Yeah.
that guy knows his shit.
Although Kale didn't like Scarent Hood, which was an IDW book, so.
Oh, okay. Never mind that. Forget what I just said.
Watch out, Marco. Kale might try to do a power bomb on you.
Once I figure out what it is, man, you're toast.
What about Tope Suicida? Want to do one of those?
Yeah.
Ushigoroshi?
If I
Sounds
figure
too
out how to.
spicy.
Muscle Buster.
Okay.
Do the two-handled family credunza.
I did that to my. I mean.
What?
Oh boy! All right, so we're gonna be.
Sean, I'm trying to look up Zack Sabre Jr.'s finisher name.
I don't remember.
Oh,
We're gonna be talking about
wild.
Do a Powerbomb number 2. This is by Daniel Warren Johnson,
Man.
who wrote it, drew it, created it. Mike Spicer on colors, Russ Wooten on letters. Great creative team. Now, I missed the review of Do a Powerbomb number 1. Read it in preparation for this. It's excellent. It's so good. Just a phenomenal comic book. It zigged when I thought it would zag, I guess. Like I didn't see the twist coming at all. Obviously, we're going to be full spoilers. The main character who's on the cover, or at least you think is the character on the cover. I guess it's actually not. But like, you know, she dies, and that threw me off. Like really crazy. And the comic book feels like it's written by someone who not only understands wrestling from a standpoint of what happens inside the ring, but also what happens outside the ring, and who respects wrestling and understands how to, and this is the critical thing with this comic book, understands how to show wrestling in an interesting way. Because when you're watching a wrestling match, you have the full scope of movement, right? To work with. So when you see a match, it's all seamless movement. But to do that in a comic book means you have to figure out the most interesting moment of a move, the way to make someone understand what move is about to happen without being able to just show them every second and make that look good. And that's what Daniel Warren Johnson was able to do here so effortlessly. And somehow, I think issue 2 might be better.
It does. The Daniel Warren Johnson other shoe drops in this issue.
Right.
It's like, where's the heart? Because there's going to be heart somewhere in a Daniel Warren Johnson book. And then it's like, oh shit, it's right there in our face the whole time.
Yeah.
I think what this issue does is it takes, it builds on the first issue and then takes the next step to tell us where we're going to go and what the big deal is. And then what's really successful about it is it really slaps down that extra twist.
Yeah.
And man, just nails it. Just nails it. I'm still thinking about it. Is this my pull of the week?
You
Yeah,
might have convinced
I think it
me.
is.
You might have convinced me.
Yeah, I think it's mine. Yeah.
It's definitely mine. Yeah. Especially because like this Cobra Sun is the character's name, right? In this.
Yeah.
The guy you see on the cover with the teal
Yeah.
luchador mask. That's Kenny Omega, right, Sean? Like he's from like, I mean, it's like, Western guy doing Japanese wrestling. Body type is sort of there.
Yeah. I was thinking Kenny Omega.
He's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I mean, that's Chris Benoit, I think.
From a physical standpoint, certainly.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff I wasn't thinking about, but from a physical standpoint, yeah, absolutely.
But there are tropes there that are signature of someone who understands wrestling.
Yeah, totally. This is just like, I was just like happy reading this, like, Jesus, this is so good. Wrestling storytelling. I was thinking this while I was reading this. Wrestling storytelling is generally not great. Like, if you compare it to other forms of storytelling, I would say wrestling storytelling is generally not great. Go ahead.
I would say generally I agree. Yeah, generally I agree. Yeah, I think you're going to say what I think you're going to say.
It has tremendous heights, obviously.
Yes.
It has extreme lows, just like anything else. But I think that in the middle of that, wrestling storytelling is kind of very, very repetitive. And just Daniel Warren Johnson is a person who tells great stories for a living. Wrestlers only get to tell the great story with their body, right? Daniel Warren Johnson is the writer. He's doing the whole thing. And so what I'm trying to get across is that this is a wrestling story that feels like just a great story. And I love that so much about it. To the point where I kind of wish that the supernatural part of it wasn't there, and that this could just be us watching this girl become a great wrestler in a real world sort of setting.
You say that until the next issue and we see this is Mortal Kombat wrestling and it's the coolest shit in the world.
I'm sure that will be cool, but I really would have liked it if I'd like to read that story that I'm describing more without knowing where this is going to go.
Yeah. we had shades of The Wrestler in this too, the Mickey Rourke movie.
Yeah,
Washed up guy who, he was the top of the world really in Japanese pro wrestling, and now he's taking light tubes to the back and getting stabbed in the chest with the fork. Yeah. And also, like, somebody getting hit with a light tube is not something I thought I would see in a comic book. Like, that is, like, legitimately, like, it's... Some would argue a lesser form of wrestling. I don't think I would. I would say it's a different form of wrestling. But it's viewed as that in this. It's like this lesser form that this guy, he can do more. He can do the highs of wrestling storytelling, like the Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi stuff, but instead is doing this backyard wrestling trash that a bingo hall is watching. He's washed up, so we're kind of getting his comeback story in this as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, like, because it felt like the way she said that there was like a stigma to it, and people would look down. So I wasn't, I didn't get that.
The way she said what?
The way she said, like, oh, you
like,
could be
you
doing
shouldn't be
more.
doing this.
Right, you should be doing this, but I'm like, but he's still wrestling, so I don't understand.
Because he's doing garbage wrestling. Tyler was being coy about it. I won't. This is considered...
Well, I don't think it's garbage. I just think it's a different type of wrestling.
I'm saying that I'm not saying that that's what I think it is. I'm saying that's what it would be described as.
Sure. Yeah.
It would be described as garbage wrestling. This is the kind of thing that you would see if you went to a wrestling show for $10 in a backyard or a barn house or, a church after 10 on a Saturday night.
I've been to those. Yep.
This is where people get really hurt. This is where you would see stuff like someone getting hit with a light tube, which is insanely dangerous. Or to a lesser degree, you would see someone getting stabbed with a fork. That probably won't happen,
To a lesser
but it could
degree.
happen. Yeah. Like, I'm so glad that Daniel presented this side of wrestling because it does exist. And this is what I would consider to be, the darker side of wrestling, where people are you're always taking a risk, but where people are taking those risks needlessly.
Okay.
I think it's maybe general public considered lowest common denominator when it comes to wrestling. It's the people who aren't really in shape. It's just violence for violence sake.
Is it like whereas like, the regular wrestling is sort of, this is fake, it's scripted, there is athleticism to it, but it's all performance.
It's art.
This is the stuff that is like, it's the real edgy stuff, and there's blood for blood's sake, and we don't have that athleticism, but here's blood. You can see how cool we are.
If we're going to compare it to like another art form, it would be like the crust punk of wrestling.
I know what that is now.
Yeah.
It's the difference between fighting for a reputable mixed martial arts or boxing organization and fighting for like a street fighting, bare knuckle.
Sure, yeah.
The Juggalo convention, like the ICP. They had backyard wrestling. They had a game. It was pretty good.
I never played it.
New Jack was in it.
What's the shit about wrestling being fake?
So I actually wanted to bring that up. It was genius.
I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, because wrestling is scripted, but they have to figure out how to work their way around that for the story. And it's just that the guy watching wrestling doesn't know it's scripted.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's how you justify it. That's how you justify the tournament going forward.
Yeah, so funny.
She's like, yeah, but like, who wins? What's the outcome? Like, she gets it, and he's just oblivious. And I love the beat, the silent panel.
Damn it.
He's just like obviously lost. That got a laugh out of me.
I want to talk about the end hook, which, again, full spoilers, is that Cobra Sun is actually the father of what's our main character's name again? Lona.
Lona, yeah.
He's the father of Lona, which means that he killed, or rather, I should say, his wife, who is the mother of Lona, Yua, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
She died in an accident in the ring involving their match. And the reason why that's so genius, not I mean, that's a horrible thing. But the reason why the reveal of Cobra being Lona's dad is because, there are people who will read this that don't fully get that behind the scenes, the wrestlers are just friends and stuff. And that takes another aspect of the illusion of wrestling and it bakes it into the story where these two are actually in love. Not only are they not opponents in real life, they are in love. They're married together. So no one would care for her. No one would try harder to protect her in the ring than her husband. And he failed because wrestling's dangerous. And she died because of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it reminds me of Masawa's death. He just took. What did he take? I'm reading here. It was a belly to back suplex, standard move. Took it wrong, snapped his neck, dead, middle of the ring. Yeah.
The injury with the guy who passed during a match with Rey Mysterio, where Rey Mysterio did the drop toe hold onto the middle rope, which he's done 100 million times. Mm-hmm. The rope was loose. This guy's neck bounces and snaps back, and he dies. And Rey Mysterio, a 25-year veteran of wrestling or more, never hurt anyone. Did he kill this person? So I love the way that this book is wrestling with that question, which is something that wrestlers have had to deal with.
And then you're right, adding the added fact that they were married, they were a couple.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The weight on him must be unbearable. Like there's a reason he's doing. Like it adds the context for. There's a reason he's doing these lower, shittier matches. It's because like he's defeated himself. He caused his own end at that point.
He feels like he caused the death of his wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think this is a brilliant comic so far. Like, and then the fact that he's only been watching, and by he I mean Daniel Warren Johnson, only watching wrestling since 2018.
Yeah, dude is an encyclopedia of knowledge already.
Right, like this made me feel like I was reading something that was written by someone who's been watching wrestling for as long as I have, if not even longer. Like Tyler, I mean, maybe you've seen this, I don't know, but this gave me vibes of the documentary that they made, Beyond the Mat, when The Rock and Mick Foley had the match at Royal Rumble 98, 99.
I haven't seen this now.
Okay. And just real quick, in the match, The Rock hits Mick Foley with a chair like 10 times in the head. He's bloody, just soaked in blood. He's bruised up really bad, really, really bad. His daughter and son were in the crowd watching. And after the match, The Rock and Mick Foley talked to Mick Foley's children to let them know that it's okay and they're friends. Mm-hmm. And the opening scene, I think it is, of the first issue, where Yua is speaking to her daughter, reminded me of that. Yeah. Because that's a thing that happens in wrestling. It's just I could talk about this forever. It's such a good comic book. We got to get Daniel Warren Johnson on the show.
I would also recommend anyone check out Dark Side of the Ring. It's a Vice documentary series that is all about the dark and fucked up stories that happen in and outside of the ring, like Bruiser Brody, that whole thing.
Yeah,
the Owen Hart stuff. When WCW went to North Korea and put on a show there.
Collision in Korea, yeah.
Yep. Great show.
We're all obviously at least pulling, right? Book of the week here.
Oh, yeah. I've already seen people making these characters in WWE 2K22.
That's phenomenal.
Which is fantastic.
I love
so
that.
So
cool. Catherine said a church after 10 on a Saturday night seems specific. So that's what you do after Saturday shows. Yes, because the church by where I live has parties after. Damn. That's not true anymore, but it used to be. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of people that I know used to have sex at the church parties.
Hey.
Those church parties were insane. So I know a girl who most probably got pregnant at a church party.
Yo, is her name Mary?
No. Her and her boyfriend were having sex under the pews.
Oh no.
They snuck off.
I
Man,
have it somewhere. Yeah.
God is watching, and he's liking.
Harris said, Beto Aguayo Jr. Thank you. Yes, that's the name. Thank you for the clarification. Let's get into Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #1. So this is basically a continuation.
guys.
What?
I was gonna say sorry for recommending this.
Oh, yeah. Huh. This is basically a continuation of what Gene Luen Yang's been doing with Shang-Chi. They canceled the book to relaunch it and add 10 rings to the name so that it could have the almost exact same name as the movie. Go figure. They've been doing a lot of work to streamline Shang-Chi and make him more like the movie version. Synergy. And this is the clearest example of that in comic book form. And look, I really never want to get on here and say anything bad about creators or anything like that. Yang, Marcus To, Eric Arsenega, all talented. But this was just not enjoyable. I'm sorry. Yeah. At least for me.
I legitimately fell asleep reading this. Like, I've tried to get into Shang-Chi for a long time. Anytime there is a new Shang-Chi #1, I'm like, all right, let's try it again. Let's give it a go. I like the character. I want to read something with him in it. And I just can't. Yeah. I just can't do it.
He's just not interesting to me.
Yeah, like he doesn't feel major. He's not a character that I'm checking for. He's kind of boring, and I feel like he always has been, at least to me. I've never been like, oh my God, I love Shang-Chi.
Well, what's wild is the Masters of Kung Fu, in the 70s or whatever, was like a top seller, and he's the main character in that.
Right.
It's like the #1 book.
That is true. But he just, I don't know, this feels like a very small scale situation where, he's got these 10 rings now and they're super dangerous and he wants to keep them hidden, but he can't because other people want it. And, he's running away from danger, trying to protect his girlfriend. There's like a whole lot of things going on, but none of them feel particularly interesting. There's a lot of fighting. The Marcus To art is very good.
Yeah.
Marcus is very talented.
I was actually kind of disappointed with the Marcus To. I've seen a lot better Marcus To.
Yeah, because I felt like this was like okay art. Like a lot of the body figures, like very sharp lines and like structured okay, but just like nothing stand out. I kind of like this. Like this was just a good, easy to read, breeze through story. Like I don't think it didn't knock my socks off, but I think this was a serviceable comic. Like I didn't feel like there was anything mechanically wrong with it.
There's not.
Yeah, it just I don't think it hooked me, but to read through something, this was a good read.
I have gotten to the point in my life as a comics reader where I do not want to read empty calorie comics. Like I don't want to read comic books
that's good.
that are just like what you described. Not offensive, mechanically structured perfectly well, but you breeze through it and who cares? I'm tired of reading comic books like that. And by the way, this is $4. Like I spent $4 to read a comic book where I didn't care about a single solitary thing that happened.
That's fair.
For me, this felt like the MCU of comics. Like where they're trying to make this the Shang-Chi of the MCU. But the thing with the Shang-Chi of the MCU that works is Simu Liu. Like his charm is there, which you cannot really. It just doesn't translate over comics. Meanwhile, what works for Shang-Chi in comics is the grindhouse, gritty kung fu aspect of it, and instead he's just a superhero. There's some crossed lines of communication in terms of what Shang-Chi should be. Yeah. I don't think this is it for comics, at least. I've read Shang-Chi one-shots that are fun, but because they're just kung fu books,
Yeah.
It makes
this is
sense.
trying to be like this overarching big thing, but I wasn't feeling it.
it makes sense why in the MCU, a place where, you know, it is a shared universe, there's a high likelihood that Shang-Chi will be at least Avenger adjacent. He has to have powers. Like he's got to be able to do something that stands toe to toe with everybody else. So I get that. But in comics, a character can be sequestered to their own little area and not really ever interact with anyone else, and it's fine. And if they do interact, you don't really bat an eye because that's what happens in comics. But one of the major takeaways from Avengers 1 was that Black Widow was standing around doing a whole lot of nothing because it's an alien invasion and she's a badass fighter, but she's using sticks, okay? So I get it for the movies. You don't have to do that in the comics. I don't say that Shang-Chi's a horrible character. I don't have that opinion, but I do think he's dry. This doesn't help me because this doesn't feel special or unique. You could have told almost the exact same story with like anyone else and it'd be fine. You could switch MacGuffins out and whatever.
Sean, wasn't Shang-Chi a Hickman Avenger?
Yeah.
Yeah. The main,
and he was fun there.
The
he was
actual
like
main Avengers team. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fun, like, just like a weapon. That's what he was. He was the living weapon, you know, and that's what they used him as.
Right.
Maybe in the comics he's just a good, you know, solid team player, you know. But
nothing wrong with that.
You just knocked down Scooter, bud. Sorry, my cat keeps knocking down my Muppets.
He was very quippy. He felt like there was definitely a moment where I stopped and like, oh, they're taking a page out of Spider-Man's book. Like I associate a lot of that, like the chirp from Spider-Man. And it surprised me to see it here because he definitely had, you know, zingers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, that works. I guess I don't know enough about his characterization to know that that's what he does. But that came out okay.
Yeah, it's all fine. You know, like
right.
There's nothing offensive. There's nothing amazing. It's just fine. And, you know, I think everyone here is talented, but I don't want to spend my money on books that are like this anymore. I don't see a reason to. And I think if you're going to give people who watch Shang-Chi and want more, something interesting, you got to give them something interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't think this was that.
Want something interesting? Tyler's cat's butthole is on.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
That's explicit. Can we please?
Is that TOS? I don't know.
Pass. On cat butt and on Shang-Chi.
You know what? Pass on Shang-Chi.
Oh.
Whoa, you better also...
Who's that YouTube guy who... Is there a YouTube guy that had a rumor that he fucked his cat? Never mind.
Yeah. Was that Shane
Dawson? Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Pass.
Yeah.
Pass on Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson and the Legends of the 10 Cat Butts.
Oh, all right.
10 rings.
The 10 years he's going to do in jail.
No, he got YouTube vindicated. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. He put out a notes app.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, Catherine, I mean, if it's interesting, I always say buy it anyway. Like, I would never want a review that we did here to dissuade someone from buying something that they're interested in buying. Just more like, hey, you know, just know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. But it's not horrible. It's just not.
It's fine. The comic.
Yeah,
it's like
yes,
the comic.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. But sure when I was like in my first few years trying to find my way into comics, I love shit like this.
Just reading everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I do want to say that too. Like, this is me years down the road. I've read so many books like this, I can't even tell you. But I think it's fun if you're wanting like more Shang-Chi or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And go ahead.
Also, to add on to that, like this, like we said earlier, this is a continuation of Gene Luen Yang's Shang-Chi stuff that he's been doing for a few years now.
It's been a little while, yeah.
So there could very well be some stuff we're, you know, not privy to here that has come before that does make this really, really interesting.
Maybe. And then also, yeah, you should do a Powerbomb if you're remotely interested in wrestling, like on any level, or even just good storytelling. I think the best thing you can say about something that's about something specific, like wrestling, is that it feels like a good story. Like if you don't need to be me, a 30 almost 30-year wrestling fan. You need to like comics and then the story and like good stories and accept that it includes wrestling. You know, um, so
And if you read the letters column from the first issue, part of his objective is to just show people something he loves and to get them into it. It's the same thing he did with metal music for Murder Falcon,
right.
and it's contagious, I will say.
Well, let's talk about Blink #1.
Let's you talk about it.
Well, let's me talk about it. Yeah. So me holding this in my hand right now is why being a physical reader of comics is the best way to go.
Get over it.
Because the other people here,
That's ableist.
the other people here were unable to acquire a copy of Blink #1
We live in a
because
different country.
all right, well you're excluded from this.
I went to Midtown Comics. They screwed me.
You're also excluded from this.
No, but I still wanted to talk about it just because I really like Chris Sabella, Hayden Sherman, super talented, colored by Nick Filardi.
Is Sherman too?
Yes,
Yeah,
this is
double
also
Sherman
Oh
week.
shit.
Hayden Sherman, yeah, and Frank Gvetkovic on letters.
Sure.
So I'm not gonna like bog you guys down with this. I'll just briefly speak about it. I really enjoyed it. Christopher Sabella's bag is to take something weird and strange and maybe even off-putting and give it character and flavor and make you care about it. Oftentimes it involves a conspiracy theory or something off the beaten path. Blink is another in the line of books that are just like that. We get a main character who is pretty sure they had a weird experience in the past where they were like a part of some kind of experiment or they were captured or something like that. And they're not all the way sure what happened. They became a person a reporter who reports about weird things that happen, and they get a lead that puts them on the trail of figuring out or finding out what it was that happened to them when they were a kid. Oh, and by the way, there's some weird monster that maybe is real and maybe isn't that comes to them when they're sleeping and have sleep paralysis.
That sucks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's insane. But it's very good. Christopher Sabella has me asking all the right questions right away. And it ends in a place where I definitely want to see what happens next. So, yeah, go ahead.
Does it ask the question why Oni Press is putting out physical copies before the digital copies?
Very important question.
No, but it also doesn't answer the question of will Oni Press exist in 1 year. So, listen. Christopher Sabella, a futurist, but he doesn't have all the answers, okay?
Not yet.
This was phenomenal. On a lot of weeks, this would have been my pick of the week. I would say definitely go pick this up. I don't think there's any reason to not buy Christopher Sabella #1. Not at all.
I agree.
Yeah. So, let's get into Comics Tag. Last week, I chose to tag Marco
Yeah.
with a book called Black Magic by Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott. I love this book. It's been in a weird limbo space for a while.
I was about to ask that. Like, did this ever finish?
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
I don't think they know.
it's been in a weird limbo space, but it's very good. Marco, or to me, it was very good. Was it good to you, Marco? What'd you think? And how much did you read also?
I read through halfway through issue 3 at the moment. I got the first trade, and I liked it. I thought the police angle and then it being intertwined with magic was a good premise. The way that they set up the initial story for like I guess the problem that Rowan has, where she gets found out to be a witch by somebody, and who we don't know yet. And I also found it interesting that it was in gray. It was like a grayscale. It's not outright black and white, because there
Right.
are some kind of watercolor brushes of just gray. And I was interested that you liked it so much, because I know you don't always do well with like just black and white.
Sure.
And I was gonna ask if color pops up later in the series, because I noticed in issue 2 there's a moment where like a body the comes out of the water, and they focus in on like the left hand specifically, and it's like a throwaway panel, but it just shines blue for like a hot sec, and I'm like, that's interesting. That's our first glimpse. And the covers, or like the in-between pages for the trade, have color, but nothing else does. So that hooked me beyond the story. I'm just like, I kind of now want to see what Nicholas Scott has in the bag for like throwing out color pages. But I liked it. I'm gonna finish this first volume and see where I shake out for the second.
So I'm very glad to hear that you liked it. That's awesome. That was the goal. It's been a lot of years at this point since I read this book,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure color is a factor. Color is used in specific moments to highlight specific things, and I believe that it's related to when magic is used. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. It gets as good as it starts. I feel like it gets a lot better. At least as far as I was able to read through it.
Okay. How
So-
far along did you like get to?
I want to say it was a little more than the first trade's worth before whenever it was that it went on hiatus, and then I never was able to jump back in because the hiatus was insanely long. It was years.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say you're turning me to a Rucka boy. So, like slowly but
Dude.
surely.
And if that's what my picks get to do on this show, then I'm happy, because I think Greg Rucka is one of the most underrated comics writers, at least of the last 20 years.
All right. So I decided, and I was trying to figure out who I wanted to pass this to, but I've mentioned on the podcast before, I'm a big fan of Tilly Walden, and
Sorry, I misheard.
and the book that I wanted to recommend was one of her older series, The End of Summer. It's maybe like an 80-page graphic novel. I was gonna pass it to Tyler first, actually, because I know you guys both read Clementine, right? You and Sean.
I didn't finish.
I have not.
Oh, you
I
haven't?
bought
Oh.
it, but I haven't read it.
Gotcha. Okay, but I wasn't sure how much more familiar you were, Tyler, with Tilly's work, so
Not at
I
all.
wanted to give you something else like to explore. And I think this one in particular, it leans into more of her
Which one is it?
architecture. It's called The End of Summer,
End of summer. Okay.
and
Looking
it
up now.
leans into some of her architecture work, because I think she started in like drafts and like as a drafts person, I guess. And the story is interesting, a bit ambitious for like one of the earlier pieces of work, but I think it sticks the landing.
Also, thank you, Catherine, for the subs. Really appreciate it. And Matt, I guess I could see that perspective. Matt said all these books Sabella has been doing seem so similar. I guess in the sense that they all have a, sort of crazy Black Mirror-ish premise that, is in the realm of conspiracy or something like that, I suppose. But I just always get something out of them. I just think they're so good, and I like the way his mind works. We've had him on the show a few times, so like I like talking to him, and reading his books feels like an extension of that. Like I can see how the same guy who comes on this podcast and talks about smoking weed and watching conspiracy theory videos makes books like these, and that's pretty cool to me.
It's free on Comixology Unlimited.
I just found it. Yeah, because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, paperback, $300 for the first printing.
What?
Yeah,
Whoa.
and then it was like, oh, it's free on Comixology and Unlimited. So,
Yeah, read for free, bro.
yeah. Although
Well,
now
what
a part
about-
of me is like, I kind of want that first edition now. It seems like people want that.
What about this week's Pals polls? Let's get to that.
Let's pull our pals.
Oh, We're not
Kale
those
woke
kind
up.
of buds.
Kale,
Oh.
you're pulling the new Detective Comics. This is issue. Oh boy, what issue is
1062.
1062.
Wow.
Man, that new art and fucking design and
Yeah. So this is this upcoming Rom V and Raphael Albuquerque Detective Comics. It's opera inspired,
Yes.
and that got me quick. I like what Rom V puts out there. We've been hit or miss on Swamp Thing, but with everything else, I just really like it, and the art and the color dichotomy juxtaposition really works for me. This cover is doing stuff for me, so I'm here for it. I believe Cy Spurrier has something
Backup, yeah.
as a
Yeah.
backup. Yeah.
With Danny, yo.
yeah,
I'm-
that alone.
With who?
Damn.
Danny,
Danny?
Dani.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
You're
you
gonna,
get ready.
You're gonna like her. Yeah, you're gonna like her shit.
I'll
Damn.
be the judge of that.
I missed that this was coming out. This is gonna be insane. We will absolutely be reading this. next week.
And we talked about like Zdarsky's Batman, which we all enjoyed, but like this feels like a real creative shift in terms of like a whole new. This is the first time the Detective Comics logo has been this drastically changed. I would think in recent memory.
Yeah.
It is wildly different feeling, and I'm super excited for it.
Does it almost look like the Stranger Things logo? Like the
It's
font?
because of the glow. It's because of the red glow.
No, but the font too.
Could be the font. Yeah.
I see it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I see it.
I'm very excited. Albuquerque on a Batman book. I could see that being fucking phenomenal.
Please.
Is this just Batman by way of Amadeus? Is that what this is essentially?
That's what it invokes to me. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what the cover is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting Amadeus vibes from it. Yeah,
What are you guys talking about? What is that?
The film.
it's a movie.
It's a film about Mozart.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
good movie. And then you and I are pulling Ant-Man by Al Ewing and Tom Riley and Jordy Blair on colors. I
Yeah.
believe it's a 4-issue mini detailing each issue is a different Ant-Man. I think that's
Is
the
that
pitch,
right?
if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we got this
Okay.
one's Hank. Next month is Scott. Then we're getting an Eric Grady one, which I'm excited for. And then we're getting a new one. There's a new Ant-Man,
Another one?
a
Yeah.
future
Oh
one.
no,
Yes.
the other guy I'm thinking of is Giant Man.
Yeah.
Showed up
but-
in Nick Spencer's run, I think.
But Tom Riley, just hot off the thing, I'm ready.
Yeah.
that was a good book. Did you finish
Yep.
that, Tyler?
It was good. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ant-Man Al Ewing on a character like Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think this will be fun.
This is gonna slap. Are we gonna do this one too?
Probably.
Cool. I
We'll
would
do
love
a
to see some
small
Riley
segment on it. And I also I'm pulling Superman Space Age #1 by Mark Russell and Mike and Laura Allred. That is
Oh,
like a
dude.
team.
What a team.
That is a team that just speaks to me. You know, oof. I'm like a follow Mark Russell to whatever book he's doing.
Yep.
Now that he's doing Superman, with
That's how I
possibly-
feel about the Allreds.
yeah, which I was gonna say. Mike Allred is one of my favorite artists of all time. I didn't do his Bowie book. I'm not a big Bowie guy, but I'm excited to see.
Get
where
some
this
taste and
goes.
try again.
I could try. Yeah.
Go for it.
I was gonna say this is about like the space age. Like it's also like an era that's fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good soup of stuff that I like.
Allred was on the Ecstatics book, right?
Yep.
The
Yeah.
new when it came out.
Yep.
Okay. Then hot take. I don't like his art. I could not swallow it.
I
Okay.
think that's,
Well, hey, hot take. Fuck you.
I'm gonna.
I mean,
I'm gonna
Marco,
get
I would-
this
I
book
would-
for
yeah.
Russell.
Mark, I'd recommend like maybe Madman or even Silver Surfer, Dan Slott's Silver Surfer. It's a fun little Mike Allred.
Yeah. I would also recommend oh shit. Future what was it? Future Foundation or was it just FF?
Oh, FF. It
That
was
he
just
did
FF.
with-
Yeah.
Oh, he did
that
stuff
he
in
did
FF.
with Fraction. Yeah.
But the team in FF was this is when Fantastic Four was not in the comics because they didn't have the rights to him.
It was like
Yep.
Spider-Man stuff, right?
No, it
No.
was Scott Lang, She-Hulk, Medusa, and
Yep.
Miss Thing, who is just a pop star that Johnny Storm slept with, and
Gets a thing.
she was
soon.
just there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite books.
It's
It's
super
wild.
fun.
What?
It's by Fraction too. Yeah,
Okay.
really highly recommend. Public Domain issue 2. This was Marco and Sean are pulling this one, right? Was that?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
memory right on
Yep.
that one? Yeah.
I loved issue 1. It was my pick of that week, and I liked the twist at the end. How I made this comparison in that review, but it evoked for me like Hicksville vibes, and I like that book. But I think this goes a step further to sort of expand on what happens if the creator wins. And I'm not gonna go into spoilers on it because I think you should pick it up. But it's a very interesting premise, and I think the angle that they're coming at it from is cool.
Yeah,
And then-
issue 1 was phenomenal. I really loved it. This feels like the year of Chip Zdarsky, and
Again.
I don't remember if I did or not, but I really hope I chose him in our end of year
Yeah.
game that we play
Somebody
because
did.
I don't know, man. Like he probably is winning right now at least. So yeah, it's just phenomenal stuff, and I can't wait for more.
And then Marco, you picked Swamp Thing 15 as well.
Yeah,
Penultimate issue of season 2.
I'm a mark, so if it's Swamp Thing on the title, it's money at my wallet, and this second season, I think we all have been a bit like lackluster on to negative, in with respect to the way that the story's been unfolding, and I'm hoping for the best, but the trajectory at the moment hasn't given me that confidence, and it's kind of a shame because I really like season 1 up until issue 10. I think the team here, both Mike Perkins, Mike Spicer, doing a real good job on art, and I thought Ron B was doing something really, really cool with the character, and now it just feels like it's been meandering and there's a lot of just stuff up in the air. So this is the penultimate issue. I'm hoping it drags a lot of that down, ties a few of those threads together, so we can at least end on a good note.
And Sean, you picked the Variants number 2.
I thought this was really cool. Gail Simone, Phil Noto. I really enjoyed this book. It's had a good start to me so far. It's street level with some cosmic elements, I guess, that are incoming. But just feels like meat and potatoes. Fun Jessica Jones street level type character stuff, and I'm here for it. I think it's really good.
This cover of Daredevil and Jessica Jones kissing weirds me
Hot.
out, honestly.
Oh,
Why?
Because they're just such good friends, It's just like one of those weird things.
you don't make out
Yeah.
a kid and fuck your friends, Tyler?
Marco, we know what follows up with that,
What's up?
Wow. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that book.
That's where we're ending the show too. That's how we end it.
What a tame week this week from us.
You're right. That is
Weird.
true.
I think it's the heat.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're saving our energy for
300.
episode 300, which is this Saturday. If you are watching this live, or the day it releases on YouTube and all podcast hosting platforms, we would love it if you guys come celebrate, hang out with us, share, words of hate or encouragement, or whatever you feel like saying, words of wisdom, anything that you want to do. If you want to send us an audio or video message, you can get that to us at thecomicspals@gmail.com. If you want to write something, you can also email us, but you can get us any other way. You can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on Discord if you're there. You can leave us a message on YouTube. DM any one of us, frankly. However you want to do it is fine. And we will compile all of them and put that together for the show. We'll also be playing Journey into Quistery. Should be a lot of fun. So come hang out. It's going to be a good time.
My wife, Jessica, Jess Burton, former Titan, well, I guess current Titan editor still technically, will also be on the show
Yeah.
Hey.
to celebrate with us. She's been here since day one.
Yeah.
Like
That's going to be a
episode
lot of
2,
fun.
right?
I think
Yeah.
episode 2, yeah, she's the first
Yeah.
guest
Yeah.
by a country mile.
On episode 2.
Yeah. So that'll be a great time. We hope to see all of you there.
Thanks for reminding me I have to make a new overlay. We'll do that.
No, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah, we
Oh,
already
we
talked
could
about
do
this.
just sit side by side. Yeah.
Yeah. You're good.
Patreon.com/thecomics-pals if you want to support your boys. For as little as $3 a month, you can help us out. And you get to read our newsletter. This week, Marco's up.
Oh, it's coming up. It'll be up tonight.
All right. Better late than never. We've got other stuff up there too. Our Patreon exclusive show, Palling Around, which is a lot of fun. Lots of cool stuff you can do interacting with us on Patreon. We appreciate everyone who does. And that's it. That's the show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next week. Hopefully, actually this Saturday.
Yes.
On Twitch, twitch.tv/the Comics Pals.
Feel
then-
free to day drink with us on Saturday.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
yeah.
We're going to be
That's
day
right,
drinking.
yes.
Bring your
not
wine.
Kale, but yeah.
Bring your
I'll
seltzer.
be night drinking.
Yeah.
So regular drinking.
Yeah.
Well, that will be night drinking for Kale too.
I'll just be day drinking.
Okay.
Until then, we're the Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next week.